Hello, dear friends. I find amazing news every day. Am I surprised by this synchronicity? Opinion piece. Success is written. Awakening can't be avoided. The Looking Glass project saw it. Humankind will finally win. Reported by Debbie Icke and David Wilcock. The elite panicked when they saw the future. We are in the darkest days before dawn. A reality based on love and freedom will follow. Russia hoards gold because it knows, or he knows, or they know, better said, something big is coming. Many people are complaining of hip, neck and shoulder pain. This is due to the lunar codes of the lunar eclipse in Taurus. This flow can also cause muscle pain in the shoulders. The goal is to increase our creativity and prosperity. Canada's massive floods block about 18,000 people. Lithuanian agents attack sleeping migrants with dogs. Let's start. Project Looking Glass technology clearly saw that the Great Awakening cannot be stopped, according to a military insider, who says the elite panicked when they saw the future and that whatever they do, humankind will eventually win. The project consists of a device that can give us images of the past, as well as modify the present and future up to a certain limit. This project is shown in the movie Contact with Jodie Foster, a colossal apparatus made of sacred geometry and which is in the underground of several powers. It is a film adaptation of the novel of the same name written by Carl Sagan in 1985. Sagan introduced Kip Thorne's theory of wormhole time travel into the screenplay. The film was released on July 11th, 1997. To good reviews. Contact grossed approximately $171 million worldwide. The film won the Hugo Award for Best Dramatic Performance and received multiple nominations and awards at the Saturn Awards. The film depicts an intense debate due to contact with external life. Various clips from well-known television programs are shown, with participants debating the implications of the message, questioning whether it is sufficient proof of the system of life on other worlds or of the system of God, and whether science is meddling on religious grounds. The leader of a religious body questions the morality of building the machine, saying, in quotes, "We don't even know what the visitors believe in God. The first machine is destroyed by a religious extremist under the belief that building it was negative for humankind." The scene in which NASA scientists delivering a suicide pill caused controversy after the film's release. Gerald Griffin, the NASA consultant, insisted that the space agency never gave any astronaut a cyanide pill just in case, and that if an astronaut wanted to commit suicide in space, all he had to do was cut off the oxygen supply. However, Carl Sagan claimed that NASA in fact, yes, NASA did hand out cyanide pills and did so on every mission in which an astronaut flew. Testimonies. The existence of the Looking Glass device is based on internal testimonies. The Looking Glass project would have materialized through reverse engineering to external technology. The researcher claims that it mimics the functioning of the pineal glands as follows. When activated, the rings rotate around each other in different directions, forming a shield and protecting the water inside the barrel, which is like the pineal gland. Meanwhile, inside the barrel there is a person sitting in a chair, which increases his ESP capabilities. When the device is turned on, the person connected to the barrel through the chair begins to have visions of future years, which he or she reports after the experiment is over. David Wilcock reveals that those who operated the looking glass knew that there is not a single space-time line, but several. This is what quantum physicists know as parallel universes, which are similar to each other, but with slight differences. That is why not all visions are homogeneous. In some realities, certain events occur and in others they do not. However, despite the success of the visions, an anomaly occurred when the volunteers who had the visions inside the looking glass wanted to see beyond December 21st, 2012. According to researcher David Wilcock's account, every time they tried to look past that day, they would get a blurry image, as if it were a superposition of several images. He thinks that on that day there was a confluence of parallel worlds, in which there were two opposing lines, one where an apocalypse was generated and another one where nothing happened. The second one apparently won. Message. David Icke gave a message on this subject, in quotes. As I have said, the outcome is written by levels of consciousness. People win when they wake up to the truth. We are in the darkest days in 21, 22 and 23 before a whole new reality based on love and freedom dawns and emerges. Stand strong and do not submit to tyranny because freedom is coming. Close quotes. This coincides with what I had heard from other sources that humankind's most revolutionary years would be 23 to 26, with the ultimate change coming in 38, although a very positive conjunction occurs in April 12, 2022. According to David Icke, the current crisis was scheduled for 2050, but was brought forward because of the Great Awakening, because the plan is failing. According to insiders, this operation was deployed without the approval of the attack masters, which is why they used the name Build Back Better instead of New World Order. Now, more than ever, it is important that you remain calm in a place of love. Instead of focusing on the violent distractions that are being pushed endlessly by the media, you must focus your creative intention on love, unity, and the Great Awakening. Infinite love is the only truth. Everything else is an illusion, according to David Icke. Rumors of war. Benjamin Fulford reports that the elite would have retreated to bunkers around Lake Geneva, Switzerland, and Palo Alto, California. The Swiss group would control the fiat money issued by the central banks they own. The Palo Alto group would be using the control of the main internet companies. Vice President Kamala Harris said the eyes of the world are on the Belarus border, and she is looking at the tools she has after a day of rapid developments that led to fears of war breaking out on Europe's eastern border. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said Wednesday he is concerned about reports of unusual Russian military activity and the possibility that Russia could be trying to repeat its 2014 invasion of Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin responded by saying, in quotes, "I want everyone to know we have absolutely nothing to do with any of this." Meanwhile, Australian Defence Minister Peter Dutton said Saturday that it would be inconceivable for Australia not to join to the US if it took steps to defend Taiwan in the event of a Chinese invasion. Russia knows it. Russia predicts Black Swan because they know something is coming. As the markets begin to wake up to the reality of today's financial world, the Central Bank of Russia and another Eastern countries are stocking up on physical gold, and the question I see being thrown around more and more is what do they know that we don't? What do they know that we don't? And more specifically, they would be predicting a Black Swan event. No one will be surprised when I say that gold has lagged the markets over the last decade. Historically, it has been a hedge, whether against uncertainty, volatility or inflation, and during the 2010s, we saw a pretty incredible bull run in the markets, at least after we started to recover from the Great Recession. Markets showed confidence was high, and so gold struggled to perform as some people expected, but in reality, this was expected. Gold is supposed to perform well when markets are struggling and poorly when they are booming. But then came fears that we were overdue for a correction, fears of a market downturn or even a recession. After that came the crisis that shut down almost every country in the world, damaged the profits of the vast majority of companies in the world, and sent people's prospects for the future plummeting. Many people seem to forget this, but gold railed on this news, just as you would like. It railed above $2,000, and everyone expected it to perform well for the rest of the year. But that's when the money printers were turned on. The permission and stimulus checks were pulled out of the helicopters, and the zombie economy began. Solar wind. The Earth is coming out of one solar wind stream, and another is on the way. The so-called coronal hole 2.0 will spin into an Earth-facing position in about 2 days. The gaseous material flowing from a southern hole in the Sun's atmosphere will arrive November 21st and 22nd. The stream could trigger geomagnetic activity and Arctic auroras on November 20th. In other words, expect possible internet outage around Wednesday, November 24, but nothing is certain. December 21, 2021 would be a great historic day of galactic significance, which could significantly accelerate the process of liberation of planet Earth through divine intervention and involvement, and being work on restoration to create paradise on Earth. Hip pain. Many people report joint pain, especially in the hips and lower back, like myself. This is because the lunar codes of the lunar eclipse in Taurus are activated in the sacral chakra area and in the throat chakra area. These lunar codes in Taurus are impacting the body and DNA. People are experiencing physical pain in the body and exhaustion. The incoming codes are releasing locks on your creative and sexual energy and are helping you align with your true original template of free and flowing creativity. For many thousands of years, humankind has experienced a state of enslavement to economic systems that have locked the sacral chakra and limited our creativity and financial flows. These incoming codes are locking and opening the flow. This creates physical plane, and old pathways close and new pathways open. The same is happening at the throat chakra level. The capture of creative energy meant that we were unable to express our soul's purpose, as all of our energy was devoted to survival in a false economy. Now, as we regain our creative power and energy, we can stand in our power and express who we are as souls. This new powerful flow can cause muscle pain and spasms in the shoulders, upper back and neck area. This is a time to take good care of yourself. The weekend will pass and you will feel more relaxed and balanced. In the meantime, stay calm and centered and get as much rest as you can. Breathe deeply, drink plenty of water, and connect with your higher guidance for information on what you personally need to transition through this powerful portal of the lunar eclipse. The Tower of Babel. Blessed Anne Catherine Emmerich said, in quotes, "The building of the Tower of Babel was the work of pride. The builders intended to build something according to their own ideas, and thus resist divine guidance. When the sons of Noah became very numerous, the proudest and most experienced of them gathered together to decide upon the execution of a work so great and so strong that it would be the wonder of all ages to come, and to cause the builders to be talked of as the most skillful, the mightiest of men. They thought not of their Creator, they sought only their own glory. Had it been otherwise, God would have allowed their enterprise to succeed. The Creator was not pleased when he visited these proud militants, who followed their new, materialistic God called science. They thought they could live like gods." Close quotes. We, the people. This is a brilliant excerpt from a talk by Dr. David Martin on what the concept of we the people really means. He states, "We the people must take responsibility for we the people know. We need to say what it means to be human. Our inalienable condition is." First one. By nature, human beings are provided for life, liberty, and sustenance, and restricted by provision. We have the access to make and engage with a world that is abundant, generated, and full of life, and aligned for life. Second one. Freedom to peacefully assemble. To talk, dissent, express, believe, and choose. We have the freedom to be interactive beings. Third one. Freedom to consult with assurance of truthfulness and provenance. We are not free to tell a lie. Your speech is true and comes from you. It is not, don't say it. Fourth. Freedom to exchange securities and trade with transparency. We don't have to go through a taxable fiduciary system. We sit down together and agree that value has been transferred. Fifth, affordable access to all derivatives of public assets paid for, owned and used by the public. Sixth, we are organically immaculate from birth to death. We have to make sure that what goes into our ears does not contaminate us along with other things. We are entitled to make sure that we are exposed to frequencies of truth, integrity, harmony with life, harmony with the universe, and harmony with the capacity to be human. And we are entitled to that by virtue of our existence. Breaking news. Turkish lira renews historic law against the dollar. The Turkish lira hits a new historic low against the dollar. During the trading day, the Turkish currency traded at 10.98 liras to the dollar, renewing the all-time low. By 9:30 GMT, the dollar was trading as 10.77 liras. The Turkish central bank, amid the fall of the national currency, decided to reduce the interest rate from 16 to 15%. The price of Turkish lira began to fall in mid-October in the face of the dismissal by decree of the Turkish president of 3 senior banks officials, including 2 deputy directors. Banks ordered to report cybersecurity incidents. US banking regulators on Thursday finalized a rule directing banks to report any major cybersecurity incident to the government within 36 hours of discovery. The man behind Real Raw News, Michael Tuffin, aka Michael Baxter. Real Raw News articles have apparent credibility along with possible deniability. What is especially a hoax also has consistent details, which usually you don't find as much detail in official fake news. Granted, it could be a hoax. Still, it is a more interesting variety of fake news, and we look forward to seeing the manifestation of these stories, if it hasn't already happened. Canada. Canada's massive floods stranded 18,000 people. Canada was still trying to reach 18,000 people stranded Thursday after floods of landslides destroyed roads, homes and bridges in what could be the costliest natural disaster in the country's history. Panic shoppers clear out grocery stores. Shoppers in the flood-stricken Canadian province of British Columbia have emptied supermarket shelves after catastrophic flooding, although the shortages are as much due to panic buying as they are to disrupted supply chains. UK inflation hits 10-year high. UK inflation has hit a 10-year high as household energy bills soar, bolstering expectations that the Bank of England will raise interest rates in December, just weeks after it shook markets by keeping borrowing costs on hold. Americas. Chile, poised for its most polarized election in decades. Chile is set to vote for a new president on Sunday, with the conservative battling a young former student leader in the most polarized election since the country's return to democracy in 1990. Humanitarian organization concludes that elections in Nicaragua were a farce. The Nicaraguan Center for Human Rights concluded on Tuesday that the general elections of the past 7th in Nicaragua, in which President Daniel Ortega was re-elected for a 5th 5-year term and a 4th consecutive term, were illegitimate and a farce. Dissident Junior Garcia explained from Spain why he left Cuba. In quotes all the paragraph. The reason I had to leave Cuba was because if I stayed there, they were probably not going to send me to prison. They did not want to turn me into a symbol. If they condemned me, they would turn me into a symbol. If they killed me, they would turn me into a symbol. They needed to silence me, to annul me as a person, to block me mentally, to attack me psychologically, to destabilize me. And they almost succeeded, he said. And the only thing I have is my voice. I couldn't keep quiet. I couldn't keep quiet. Someone has to say what is happening in Cuba. That is why I decided to leave Cuba and come to Spain. I have not asked for asylum, as you must already know. My intention is to return to Cuba. Amazon deforestation soars 22% to 15-year high. Deforestation in Brazil's Amazon rainforest soared 22% in a year to a high since 2006. The government's annual report showed Thursday. despite assurances from President Jair Bolsonaro that the country is curbing illegal logging. Belarus. Lithuanian agents attack with dogs migrants who were sleeping on the border with Belarus. A Lithuanian border guard dog beating a migrant who was lying on the ground sleeping in a sack on the border with Belarus. These are the images left by a video released by the Belarusian government. Belarus moves migrants away from the Polish border. Belarusian state media report that the migrants and refugees were moved to a heated warehouse not far from the border. Belarus clears migrant camps. Belarusian authorities on Thursday cleared the main camps where migrants have been crowded on the border with Poland in a turnaround that could help calm a crisis that has spiraled in recent years toward a major Western standoff. Putin accuses West of taking Russia's red line too lightly. President Vladimir Putin has said the West is taking Russia's warnings not to cross its red lines too lightly and accused NATO of destroying all mechanisms for dialogue with Moscow. Finland fears Russia sending migrants to its border. The Finnish government will face a motion of censure in parliament called by opposition parties over security concerns on the eastern border with Russia. Specifically, they want new legislation to be passed that would allow to the 1,340-kilometer border crossings to be temporarily closed, including to asylum seekers. China. Philippines calls on China to back down after South China Sea standoff. The Philippines on Thursday condemned in the strongest terms the actions of 3 Chinese Coast Guard ships that it said blocked and used water cannons on supply ships heading toward Philippine-occupied atoll in the South China Sea. The Philippines on Thursday condemned in the strongest terms the actions of 3 Chinese Coast Guard ships. It's a repetition, excuse me. China eases energy crisis. China's energy crisis, which led to blackouts in September and October, is now easing, although more work must be done to ensure power and heating supplies during the winter. Oil slides to a 6-week low. China plans to cooperate with the US on a plan to coordinate the release of the crude oil reserves held by the world's largest economies. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.